Someday your kids are going to figure you out. I promise you they will. The type of parent you are, the type of spouse you are, how you treat other people, how much effort you put into them. You're either going to be someone they look up to or someone they never want to be like. Always remember, they are watching and absorbing. All parents damage their children. It cannot be helped. Youth, like pristine glass, absorbs the prints of its handlers. Some parents smudge, others crack. A few shatter childhoods beyond repair. Children begin by loving their parents. As they grow older, they judge them. Sometimes they forgive them. Our parents can show us a lot of things. They can show us how we ought to be, and what things we ought to strive for. Or they can show us how not to be, and what things we ought to stray from. Then you may have the kind of parents that show you all the things about you that you want to get rid of. And you realize those traits aren't yours at all, but are merely your parents' marks that have rubbed off onto you.
Welcome to Self-Mastery Labs. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Legacy of Parenting. How your actions shape your children's future. The foundation of any relationship between parent and child is built on a powerful reality. Children are always watching. From the earliest stages of life, they absorb every action, word, and behavior modeled by their parents. The way a parent interacts with their spouse, treats strangers, and invests time in their child doesn't go unnoticed. It becomes the blueprint that child carries forward. Your children will figure out exactly who you are, and that revelation will shape who they become. Parenting is a profound responsibility because every parent leaves a lasting imprint on their children, whether intentional or not. As children grow older, they move from admiring their parents to assessing them, forming judgments about their behavior, values, and emotional responses. This transition from admiration to judgment is where the essence of parenting truly unfolds. Will your child look up to you, seeing in you the qualities they wish to emulate, or will they see you as an example of what not to become? The hard truth is, all parents inevitably damage their children in some way. The degree and kind of damage can vary, but it's unavoidable. Children are like pristine glass, absorbing the fingerprints of those who handle them. Some parents leave only minor smudges, imperfections that can be cleaned away with time and understanding. Others crack the glass, causing deeper, more lasting wounds. In the most extreme cases, some parents shatter childhoods beyond repair, leaving scars that last a lifetime. The key to navigating this reality is an understanding that your children will judge you. They will look back and reflect on the lessons you taught them, whether intentionally or through passive example. Some of those lessons will serve as inspiration, while others will become traits they actively reject. In many cases, children will inherit behaviors or emotional patterns from their parents without even realizing it. This is where the journey of self-awareness begins for them. Understanding which traits are genuinely their own and which are simply inherited remnants from their upbringing. As a parent, the goal is not to achieve perfection, it's to be aware, to be conscious of the fact that every action you take is a lesson for your child, one that will shape their future relationships, self-esteem, and worldview. The better you understand the weight of your influence, the more intentional you can be in the lessons you pass down, even through the inevitable mistakes. Chapter 2. Why Boundaries Matter. The fine line between discipline and freedom. Boundaries are one of the most significant aspects of parenting. They define the limits within which children can explore, learn, and develop a sense of autonomy. However, setting and enforcing boundaries can be one of the most challenging aspects of raising children. Why are boundaries so hard for parents to establish and maintain? And why do kids instinctively push against them? For many parents, boundaries often feel like a balancing act between maintaining authority and fostering independence. It's tempting to either loosen boundaries to avoid conflict or become overly strict in an attempt to control behavior. However, boundaries are not just rules to be followed. They are essential frameworks that provide children with a sense of security. When children know where the limits are, they feel safe. They understand that their world is predictable and that certain behaviors have consequences, both positive and negative. On the flip side, children are naturally inclined to test these boundaries. This is a crucial part of their development. By pushing limits, they are learning about their own autonomy and testing the cause and effect relationships in their environment. When they see how far they can push a rule before facing a consequence, they are developing an understanding of the world's structure. This process helps them grow into individuals who can make decisions, evaluate risks, and understand social expectations. Research shows that boundary testing isn't a sign of defiance, but a sign of growth. Children are wired to explore and test their limits as part of their cognitive and emotional development. It's a way for them to assert their independence while also seeking reassurance that their parents will remain consistent. For a parent, maintaining clear, consistent boundaries is key to providing that sense of security while also encouraging growth. Chapter 3: The psychology behind why kids test boundaries. Boundary testing is a natural, developmentally important behavior in children, but why exactly do they push against the limits set by their parents? To understand this, it's important to dive deeper into the psychology and brain development of children. The answer lies in how their brains work and what they need at each stage of growth. Children are born with an innate desire to explore the world around them. This curiosity leads them to test the boundaries of their environment as they try to figure out how things work. Developmentally, boundary pushing is closely tied to cognitive and emotional growth. It allows children to learn about cause and effect. When they push a boundary, they experience a consequence, and from this, they learn what is acceptable and what isn't. Moreover, neuroscientific research shows that children's brains are designed for exploration and risk-taking, especially during adolescence when the brain's reward centers are highly active. This is why teenagers, in particular, tend to engage in more boundary-testing behaviors. Their brains are wired to seek new experiences and challenge the status quo as part of their growth into independent adults. Testing boundaries also helps children learn self-regulation. As they push limits and face the consequences, they begin to understand how to control their impulses and emotions. This self-regulation is crucial for developing emotional resilience, which they will carry into adulthood. Additionally, social learning theory suggests that children model the behaviors they see in their environment. If they observe inconsistent enforcement of rules or see boundary testing rewarded in others, they are more likely to push boundaries themselves. It's a way for them to figure out where the true limits are and how much flexibility they have in their world. Chapter 4: The long-term effects of inconsistent boundaries. One of the most critical mistakes parents can make is being inconsistent with boundaries. Inconsistency in enforcing rules sends confusing signals to children, undermining the very security that boundaries are supposed to provide. When children cannot predict whether a rule will be enforced or if the consequences will change depending on the situation, they continue testing boundaries in an attempt to find clarity. Research has shown that children raised with inconsistent boundaries are more likely to struggle with self-regulation and emotional control. When boundaries are not enforced consistently, children don't develop a reliable understanding of cause and effect, which can lead to anxiety, frustration, and difficulty in managing their behavior. Over time, this inconsistency can create trust issues between parent and child as children begin to question the reliability of their caregivers. On the other hand, children raised with clear, consistent boundaries tend to develop a stronger sense of self-discipline and emotional resilience. They understand that their actions have predictable consequences, which helps them learn to regulate their emotions and behavior. Consistency also builds trust. Children know that their parents will follow through on what they say, which creates a sense of safety and security in the relationship. The key to maintaining consistent boundaries is communication. Parents need to clearly articulate the rules and consequences, and just as importantly, follow through on them. By doing so, they provide their children with a stable environment in which they can learn and grow. Chapter 5: Parenting with Purpose, the Role of Forgiveness, Resilience, and Growth. As children grow older, their relationship with their parents evolves. They move from being entirely dependent to forming their own opinions about their upbringing. In this process, many children will eventually come to a place of judgment. They will evaluate the way they were raised and decide which parts of their upbringing they want to embrace and which they want to reject. This process can be painful for both parent and child, especially when children realize that some of their struggles stem from their parents' actions, whether intentional or not. However, this is where the power of forgiveness comes in. Children who are able to forgive their parents for their shortcomings and mistakes can break free from cycles of resentment and emotional baggage. Forgiveness allows them to move forward, building on the positive aspects of their upbringing while releasing the negative. For parents, cultivating resilience is key. No parent is perfect, and mistakes are inevitable. The difference between a successful parent-child relationship and one that breaks down lies in the ability to acknowledge mistakes, seek forgiveness, and move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. Resilience allows both parent and child to learn from their experiences and grow stronger as a result. Ultimately, parenting is about more than just setting rules or maintaining authority. It's about guiding children through their own growth process, teaching them how to navigate life's challenges, and giving them the tools they need to become resilient, compassionate adults. In the end, children will figure out who their parents truly are. The hope is that through the mistakes, boundaries, and lessons, they will also see a parent who loves them, supports them, and has given them the foundation they need to succeed in life. And there you have it. Parenting isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. Every step you take, every word you speak, your kids are watching, absorbing, and one day they'll figure out exactly who you are. So the real question is, who will they see? Someone they admire, or someone they never want to become? Now, before you go, take a moment to really think about this. What kind of legacy are you leaving behind for your children? Are you building up the traits they'll want to carry forward, or setting an example they'll struggle to break free from? How will the boundaries you set today shape the adult they become tomorrow? Let's continue this conversation. What's one boundary you've struggled to set, but know is essential for your child's growth? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're navigating this journey. And hey, we all make mistakes. Maybe yours can be the learning experience someone else needs. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button so we can keep these discussions going. Parenting's a wild ride, but you can do it. Thanks for watching, and remember, every choice you make is a lesson for them, so make it count.